One of the tips that I give most frequently to people who want to improve is to look back at their own replays to see any mistakes that they are making. One of the common responses to this tip is people will ask, well, how do I even know that I'm making a mistake in the first place? This is a really good question to be asking because it means that you really do want to improve, you just don't know where to start. Today, we're going to be covering exactly this. We'll go over how you can know when you're making a mistake and some of the biggest mistakes across every elo. Remember that the preseason is the best time for learning and improvement, and if you're looking for a tool to help you along the way, then GameLeap.com is perfect for you. Over at our website, we've got hundreds of guides, all done by challenger players, sorted into a quick and easy-to-use courses system. We've got courses both on the 5 fundamental roles and champion-specific courses, so no matter who you are, there will be something for you. Getting your GameLeap membership is your best shot at skyrocketing up the ladder this preseason. Now, without further ado, let's get into that first part of the video. How can you know when you're making a mistake? This requires you to have some sort of knowledge or experience in the game. This can be through playing countless hours or from watching various guides online. Personally, when I was first learning the game, I watched a ton of guides, and I relied on those guides telling me what was right and wrong in order to help me improve on the various mistakes that I was making when I was just new to the game. Once I got into Diamond though, I found that most guides weren't really applicable to me anymore, so I switched to a more trial and error method. Now, determining which method is better for you is actually going to be very important. If you're a hands-on learner like me, then trial and error might be your best bet. If you're somebody who learns by listening or watching, however, then guides are probably going to be better for you. Now, if you're watching guides, then this is going to take a little bit of time because you're going to have to find the right guide. Oftentimes, right away, you're not going to know what the most problematic mistake that you're making is. This means that you need to establish a starting point. Use the symptoms to determine what is actually wrong. For example, if you have a lot of deaths, then you can start there. Or if your CS is low, then start with that. For jungle, if you're not able to gank nearly as much as the enemy jungler, then this is a problem. And for support, if your ADC or you are dying too often, then this is probably something that you can work on. Compare yourself to your counterpart in each of your matches, and if you start to see a trend, for example, you're dying way more than your counterpart, then that is a very, very good place to start. Once you do that, then you can watch back your own plays and look at the difference between you and your counterpart. So, for example, if you are having way less CS than your counterpart in a lot of your matches, then what you want to do is watch it back and look to see when your counterpart builds a CS lead. You want to see when they are making this big impact happen. This could be CS, it could be deaths, it could be warding, it could be jungle ganks, it could be anything. Typically, this will really help you find the root problem. For example, you don't know how to manage waves properly, or you might not know how to path properly in the jungle, and then you can look up a guide on that. Okay, but what if you're a player that is more hands-on and doesn't learn well from other people's guides, and you learn more from hands-on experience? At this point, instead of looking up a guide, you just need to get into ranked and start trying things. That's what worked for me, climbing from Diamond into Challenger. This one is going to take a lot more time and effort simply because you won't get it right the first time, and that's okay. As long as you've identified the problem, then you can start working at it. Okay, so now that we know how we can identify our mistakes and start fixing them, let's get into the second part of this video. What are some of the biggest mistakes that I see across each elo? Before I get into any of the specific ranks, I want to mention something that is a common occurrence across all elos. This is the fact that, fundamentally, at its very core, League of Legends is a game that revolves around minions. As a result, in at least 80 to 90% of cases, you're going to want to take into account how minions are going to react to your play before you take into account how the enemy champion is going to react to your play. Minions are your source of protection, they're your source of income, and they're very predictable, whereas other players are not. By manipulating minions properly, you can get them to do 80 to 90% of the work in a single game. You don't have to do anything if you make the minions do what you want them to do right. Now, with that being said, let's go to our logical starting point in the ranks, Iron. If you are in Iron, you're probably not treating minions as though they are a meaningful part of the game, and you're probably not securing a good economy for yourself. Most likely, you're putting too much value into trading and ganking, and you're not putting enough on just farming the minions. You're also likely struggling to last hit with your auto attacks, and you're getting your CS by using your mana and abilities, which is a big no-no. The best quick fix for players in Iron that are making this mistake is to just go into Practice Tool and focus on the first 10 minutes of farming, practice CSing with your auto attacks, not your abilities, and get as much gold as possible over and over and over again until you can hit 70 CS in that first 10 minutes. If you're able to do that in Iron, then your chance of winning is going to skyrocket. In Bronze, it's very similar. The CSing is still not good enough, but since we already covered that mistake and how to fix it, we'll cover another big one. And this is that Bronze players like to trade way too much. Now, it's been a while since I last played in Bronze, but I can still clearly remember the last time I was there, where players would just run at me while playing Garen. In Bronze, during the laning phase, people will just run at other people way too much without having a real goal in mind. You want to focus on your farm. If this means that you completely ignore your enemy laner, then that's it. Just ignore them, that's fine. They will also randomly run to other places on the map for no reason at all, which is pretty weird. For the first 15 to 20 minutes in Bronze, you want to just go to your lane and just farm, and that's it. You don't want to focus on trading, you don't want to focus on ganking, you don't want to focus on anything else other than securing farm, and if you're the jungler, dragon as well. That's it. Now, moving our way into Silver, we're still seeing some of these patterns occasionally, but they're looking a lot better, the game's looking a lot cleaner. In Silver, the biggest issue is people don't exhibit the right amount of aggression. This could mean one of two things. Either they're too passive and they don't ever look to trade in the laning phase, or they're way too aggressive and they're always looking to trade. Remember, there are very few cases where trading is the right thing to do. You don't always want to be doing it, but you do need to be doing it at least sometimes. The first time that you're going to want to trade with an enemy is to deny CS. Start off with cannon minions. Anytime one of your cannon minions get low, look to poke the enemy laner and make sure that they can't get that cannon minion. Once the cannon minion dies, that's it. Just back off, let them go, and continue focusing on your CS. Once you've got trading on the cannon minion down, then you can start looking to trade more frequently on more and more minions. Be careful not to trade too often. Remember, with this style of trading, it's still very important to win these trades. If you have less HP than the enemy after you trade with them, then it's not good. As you get better at the game, you're going to see more and more trading opportunities that will go in your favor. The only other time that you want to trade is if you know that you can guarantee a kill. Remember that every second that you spend performing a trade with the enemy champion is time that you cannot spend CSing. If you get a kill in the lane phase, great, that's awesome, but sacrificing 20 CS to do so is not worth it. Moving on to Gold, and this is where things start to get a little bit strategic. In Gold, usually people are able to hit their CS benchmark of around 70 CS in the first 10 minutes, and they're able to trade well, securing kills without giving up any CS for that. For junglers, you're going to see more and more people performing ganks properly while still CSing well. In lower elos, people can perform ganks, and those ganks can be successful, but it's not going to be worth it a lot of the time because they're going to be missing so much gold in their jungle. However, just because people are able to hit those benchmarks and they're able to manage their jungle camps while ganking well does not mean that they're not making big mistakes when it comes to these things. If you are in Gold, then most likely you're not playing reactively well enough. This means that you're not managing your waves properly in reaction to something that the enemy champion might do, and you're not looking to counter jungle or path efficiently on the jungler. As a laner, you always want to try and punish using a lane management strategy. This is either freezing, slow pushing, or fighting for a neutral wave. You need to stop playing ping pong at this point and take control of the lane. Make the minions do what you want them to do. Make the enemy champion uncomfortable with where the lane is and keep that lane exactly where it is. This is going to take practice, and you need to make sure that you're not forfeiting any CS to do this, and that you're not performing worse trades because of this. This needs to mesh well with the remainder of your playstyle in order for you to climb into Platinum. As a jungler, you want to look to punish enemy ganks with either counter ganks of your own or with counter jungling. If you're on the same side of the map and you're able to perform a counter gank in order to turn that gank into your favor and get, for example, 3 kills in the bot lane, then that is something that you need to do. Make sure that you get off your camp in order to do that. If you're on the other side of the map, then look to invade the opposite side of the enemy's jungle. If they're bot lane, then they can't possibly be in their top side jungle, so you should take that away from them. Moving our way up to Platinum, the biggest mistake that I see is that people are not capitalizing on Dragon and Baron enough. If you kill 1 or 2 members of the enemy team, then you should immediately move towards either Dragon or Baron depending on what point of the game you are at. Dragon and Baron give you very powerful buffs that are going to allow you to take control of the game. Just because you're moving towards the Dragon or the Baron does not mean that you're going to start it right away necessarily. You can also look to bait the Baron or Dragon and look for more kills. You also want to make sure that you're not just randomly starting Dragon or Baron for no reason in this elo, because if you do end up doing that, and then the enemy team comes and they kill you and then take Dragon, that's a huge throw. You're going to have to be comfortable making aggressive Baron and Dragon calls while other members of the enemy team are still alive. Finally, we have Diamond. Now, if you're Diamond, then you're probably doing the previous things pretty well, but there are still quite a few mistakes that Diamond players make pretty frequently. First up is they get lazy with their wave management, especially in the laning phase. They'll start just AFK pushing their wave in the laning phase for no reason after they gain a lead. You want to make sure that you're managing the wave in the way that's best for you. The other huge mistake that I see Diamond players making is they never play proactively, and they will only play reactively. While playing reactively is good and very important, you also need to make proactive plays of your own if you want to see success in Diamond Plus Elo. This is going to be performing ganks as a jungler and setting up counter ganks before the enemy is able to pull their gank off. On support, it's roaming with your jungler, getting deep vision in the enemy jungle off of invades. For top and mid lane, it's roaming and making TP ganks happen. And for ADC, it would be something like shoving the lane out first and then going to help your jungler on the scuttle or the dragon. You need to make sure that you're not playing on autopilot in this elo. That is the most important thing above all else. Now, that is just about all that I have for you for today's video on the biggest mistakes that I see across all elos. If you haven't already, then make sure to check out our website, GameLeap.com. Over at our website, we've got hundreds of guides, all done by challenger players, sorted into a quick and easy to use courses system. We've got courses both on the 5 fundamental roles, as well as champion-specific courses, so if that is something that interests you, then make sure to check us out using the link in the description below. As always, I'm Panther, I hope you learned something valuable, and I will see you in the next one.